مایه افتخار و خرسندی است که امروز شاهد آغاز رسمی سلسله وبینارهای ماهوار استیم هستیم. برنامه علمی و ساختارمند که به ابتکار و مدیریت کمیته استیم شورای انجینران افغانستان راه اندازی شده است. این سلسله وبینارها با هدف ارتقای ظرفیت‌های علمی، توسعه مهارت‌های نوین و همگامی جامعه انجینری کشور با تحولات جهانی در حوزه علوم، تکنولوژی، انجینری و ریاضیات برگزار می‌گردد. استیم امروزه ستون فقرات نوآوری، توسعه پایدار و اقتصاد دانش‌محور به شمار می‌رود. از همین رو، کمیته استیم تلاش دارد از طریق این وبینارهای منظم و ماهوار، بستر علمی برای تبادل دانش، تحلیل چالش‌ها و ارائه راهکارهای عملی در حوزه‌های مختلف انجینری فراهم سازد. کار داریم که خودین این سلویرها میزبان دایرکتر کمیته استیم شورای انجینران افغانستان محترمه دکتر محمود هستیم و از چهره‌های علمی فعال در حوزه استیم. رهبری علمی و دیدگاه راهبردی ایشان نقش کلیدی در طراحی و جهت‌دهی این سلسله وبینارها داشته و حضورشان در این برنامه آغازگر مسیری هدفمند و پایدار برای این ابتکار علمی است. به نمایندگی از شورای انجینران افغانستان، حضور محترمه دکتر آمینه محمود و همه شما اشتراک کنندگان ارجمند را خیر مقدم عرض می کنم و امیدواریم این سلسله وبینارها بتواند به مرجع علمی و الهام بخش برای انجینران کشور مبدل گردد. اکنون با کمال حرمت رشته سخن را می سپارم به محترمه دکتر آمینه محمود، دایرکتر کمیته استیم شورای انجینران افغانستان، تا نخستین وبینار این سلسله را آغاز فرمایند.
سلام و تشکر بسیار زیاد یک جهان از شما. من کامرای روشن میکنم که بتونین شما مرا دیدن. یک ببخشید. اوکی. آواز ما دارین؟ بله؟
بله درسته هست. همچنان اسکرین
و ویدیو؟
بله.
اوکی. خب من آغاز میکنم، باز میشه که آستا پیش بریم. سلام و تشکر بسیار زیاد از اینکه شما همگیتان به وبینار شرکت میکنین و من آمنه محمود هستم. از لحاظ رشته‌ای من مولکولر بیولوژی خواندیم، دکترای ما به بیوشیمی از آلمان گرفتیم تقریبا یک 10 سال قبل و حالا به رشته مدیکال فیزیکس و مایکروبیولوژی کار میکنم. من میخواستم که بر شما معرفی کنم و وقتی که پری وبینار فارمم خواندم، بسیاری شما آگاهی دارین، این بسیار خوب است، اما این صرف یک آغازش است. It's just an introduction که ما معرفی شویم و آستاستا و وبینارهای بعدی باز بتانیم more specific و مشخصتر داخل از این موضوع بریم. این پریزنتیشن یا وبیناری که است ما به زبان فارسی، دری و انگلیسی جور کردیمش و جای خود شود که من به انگلیسی خود صحبت کنم به خاطر ازی که من هیچ وقت به فارسی درس نخواندم و بعضی از لغات دری بر من مشکل است که بر شما خوبتر بتونم تشریح کنم به فارسی. از این خاطر اگر جایی باشن که به انگلیسی است و بر شما مشکل است که بفهمین که من چی گفتم، میشه که برام مسیج بانین یا آوازتان بلند کنین برام بگوین که من باز متوجه شما پس دوباره او را براتون تشریح کرده بتونم. خوب است؟ خب پیش میریم که استم چی است و دانشگاه‌های بین المللی این نظام به چی حالت شکل گرفتن و از کدام رشته، از کدام راه ها ما میتونیم که داخل مثلا پروگرام های مختلف دانشگاه‌های بین المللی شویم. پیش از اینکه ما پیش بریم میخوایم که یک سوال از شما کنم. وقتی که به باره استم میشنوین اولین حسی که براتون پیدا میشه چی است؟ میخواین زیادتر بفهمین؟ یگان وقت it's not very clear، نمیفهمین چی است، confusion است، علاقمندی است یا یک اعتماد به نفس که من بلد هستم همیشه؟ میشه برام بعضتون بگوین؟ میتونین بنویسین یا آن کنین که من بتونم بشنوم. ABC نشته کرده. Curiosity. اوکی. دیگه؟ یک نفر نشته میکنه؟ آواز ما داریم همه کتان؟ اوکی. من فکر کردم که ما میتونیم که یک وبینار اینتراکتیو داشته باشیم که شما بنویسین و من بتونم خوبتر جواب بدم، اما شاید به این حالت نباشه. خب it's fine. میریم سراغ ازی که اوکی. اگر فکر میکنم وقتی که من پری وبینار فرم شما را خواندم تقریبا زیادتر کسایی بودن که میخواین که معلومات زیاد داشته باشن. 1-2-3% بودن که اونا معلومات زیاد داشتن و تقریبا 5 و علاقمندی زیاد نبود که نوع چیزا را باید ببینیم. خب اینا رو میریم و میبینیم که چی است. What exactly is STEM? STEM اصلا it's an acronym، یعنی 4 فیلد مختلف. اینا مثلا Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics. اما وقتی که داخل تر بریم و عمیق تر فکر کنیم it is not a single subject. یعنی این نیست که من ساینس خواندم and then this is STEM. I'm a technologist and I'm in STEM. I'm an engineer and I'm in STEM. Actually it's a way of thinking and solving problem. یعنی اصلا STEM چیزی است که تنها مجموعه از اشتهای تحصیلی نیست که اگر به معنای اصلیش ببینیم. معنای STEM بلکه یک شیوه تفکر و علم است. مثلا ما میتونیم که ساینس، تکنولوژی، انجینیرینگ و متمتیکس به یک شکل اونا را انتگریت کنیم و استفاده کنیم به این که بتونیم مشکلاتی که از به دنیا او را حل کنیم. مثلا به عصر حال شما میبینید که طب بسیار پیش رفتن، right؟ و این بدون تکنولوژی نمیتونه که پیش بره، یا بدون انجینیرینگ نمیشه که طب به حدی که رفته پیش رفته بتونه. The same goes for engineering. مثلا شما انجینیر هستین، میتونه انجینیر مهندس mechanical or civil or electrical. به هر شقی که شما هستین شما صرف انجینیر نمی باشین. You need to be able to integrate other fields into it. So it's a very multidisciplinary. یعنی شما به فیکس نیستین، شما باید با دیگه مضامین و با دیگه رشته ها بسیار هماهنگی داشته باشین. And you need to know که there is no fixed way to do something. و STEM یک چیز بسیار مهمه به دنیای حاضر که است. It's a foundation for innovation, resilience and inclusive. ما زیادتر بر سر resilience میایم به خاطر از اینکه به کانتکست افغانستان ما چطور میتونیم استفاده کنیم. اما زیادتر یا تقریبا همه اینویشن جهانه که حالا میبینین بنیادش استم است اصلا. اوکی. و یک چیز بسیار مهم هم است که مثلا یک بیولوژیست یا یک طباب بتونه با یک انجینیر صحبت کنه که بتونه مشکلی که از او را حل کرده بتونه. It's not about personal communication, it's more about technical communication. So I would like to diagnose cancer. How can I use lasers to diagnose cancer? So this kind of communication is really important, this interdisciplinary communications. Mathematics here is in the sense of logic. که ما بتانیم لوجیک داشته باشیم با کارهایی که میکنیم. And curiosity. If we use different techniques, what would be the result? That is the mother of all innovation, I would say. If you're curious enough, you would be able to achieve something. But attention to details, I think it's part of being a scientist. If you pay attention to details, then you are a good scientist. So ما اگر اینجا خلاصه کنیم استم یک شیوه ازی است که از مجموعه از رشته ها و کاربرد از اینا که چطور بتونیم که ما بین to use these different skill sets to solve real life problems. وقتی که عمیق‌تر میریم مثلا the science it is to understand how natural world works, right? In very vague terms. So natural world, in order to understand what natural world works and how to solve this problem, چطور بتونیم مثلا با field health sciences یا با field environmental sciences, we really need other fields. مثلا ما فیلدهای مختلف ضرورت داریم. The same goes for technology, فناوری. So it applies knowledge through tools and systems. And actually, if we have technology, we can use it in science, we can use it in engineering, and we can use it in mathematics. So technology is one of the main anchors here for this STEM. That's very important to keep in mind, especially in this age that we are, with all the developments in AI and data and online platforms. That is really the main core. And I cannot really emphasize enough that we definitely need technology in whatever field we are. I think I don't need to talk much about engineering. به خاطری که فکر میکنم تقریبا همگی شما انجینیر هستین و یا مهندس هستین. از خاطر so these are the pillars. مثل از این چهار, they are 4 pillars of STEM. But the beauty of STEM is that how these different fields work together and how they communicate together in order to solve the real life problems. اوکی. به افغانستان چرا استم ضرورت است یا ما چرا ضرورت استم داریم؟ مثلا به افغانستان به خاطر ازی که حالات کرایسیس است و حالات نرمال نیست که پانتون ها به حالت عادی برای همگی نیست، مثلا به طبقه اوناست. So health and life sciences are تقریبا 50% کار میکنن. The same goes to water, energy, infrastructure, agriculture, environment, and digital connectivity. So that means that we need more STEM in Afghanistan. We need more collaboration in Afghanistan, and we need more interdisciplinary way of thinking. پیش از اینکه ما بتونیم کار کنیم به STEM، ما باید فکر interdisciplinary داشته باشیم. این بسیار مهم است. و وقتی که impact of prolonged crisis on knowledge چی شده میتونه؟ So if the usual ways of knowledge or gaining are interrupted, then the only thing that one can do is to foster their STEM skills, because if you lose labs, if you lose institutions and the scientific identity, which is really important, Because if you don't have scientific identity, you will not go after your field, after your career. So what is important here is that if we can foster or if we can have اگر بتونیم فکر استعمار داشته باشیم that we are not just one fixed career, one fixed field, but we can evolve, we can learn, and we can develop. We can really use this time of crisis to develop our skills and knowledge. So وقتی که همه چیزا خوب باشه و جهان پیشرفته که میبینیم in stable context, innovation and growth باعث نوآوری و رشد میشه. And in crisis مثل افغانستان یا بعضی کشورهای دیگه تاباوری و آمادگی. So it makes you resilient and also it prepares you for what is coming in future, which is really important. آمادگی و رزیلینس هر دوی از این چیزی است که شما را کمک میکنه به استپ بعدی برین. اگر ما ببینیم که به کشورهای همسایه افغانستان what is the investment what's the investment in STEM capacities. افغانستان به این چی نیست به خاطر از اینکه it's very low that I couldn't get a really reliable number. از این خاطر به این چی I did not include it here. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So what we can see is that the highest amount of investment is done by Iran because they know there are two different types of investment. One is in research and development, which is a STEM, and the other one is in resources. So one is knowledge-based advancement, and the other one is resource-based advancement. Resource in Iran is, for example, their oil, their gas, and natural resources, right? They know that with time it will not be enough. So that's why they have to invest in STEM capacity. And you will see today, if a country invests in STEM, what happens that you will see the results in 15 to 20 years. And its investment starts from already from primary school, that this mentality needs to be fostered. India is second in line. And the same goes to Pakistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. So Uzbekistan, because they're also rich in resources, that's why, as per different publications, that they have not been doing the investment because of the resources that they have. So if we see that there is a link between STEM investment and economic progress, so USA has the highest economic growth in the years that I got this data from, and that's also their investment in STEM. The same goes to Germany, to Japan, and to China. You can also keep that in mind that for some countries the investment in research and development is high, but their GDP is less in USD because their currency is something else. That's why when it got converted, it's very different, because you see China is almost investing as much as Germany, but their GDP is less because of the currency that they are using, because these are in US dollars. So what we got from here is that the more you invest in STEM, way of thinking, doing of research, the more economic progress and power you get in 10 to 15 years, actually. I also, in this pre-webinar form, there was a question regarding participation of women in STEM. And I was surprised that some of you wrote that for women, it's not important. And there were only 4 women, actually, which is a bit disappointing. I was expecting more. But STEM actually is not gender-based. It is for everyone, especially for women, because women are problem solvers. And if you have a problem-solving mind, you're already in STEM. If you can juggle between different fields, you're already in STEM. So I think women have a very natural ability, but unfortunately in our societies, women are taught that mathematics is very difficult، ریاضی بسیار مشکل است، خانم‌ها بسیار خوب یاد ندارن، یا چیزای دیگه که اصلا به ساینس یا به they are not based on facts. So what is important is that ماهایی که به این فیلد هستیم و میخوایم پیش بریم و میخوایم که نوآوری را بیاریم، باید متوجه ازی باشیم که both genders, male and female, can participate and should participate equally in STEM. So if women are, if 50% of your society is taken out of this system, then what happens is that the recovery weakens. Of course, you cannot really build, you cannot really achieve what you can achieve. If you compare in the developed world, and even in neighboring countries of Afghanistan, you will see that there is an intentional investment on women involvement in STEM because of their problem-solving skills, because of they think out of the box. So that is really, really important for us also as a scientist, as engineers, to know that we do need women in our sector. So if you're working in a team, please include at least 2 or 3 women in your team, and you will see how problems start to solve because of their natural ability to do it. Yes, so in developing country, the key impact of STEM in education is that so gender inclusion, it will really have a high impact. As you can see, it has more than almost 70% of impact. Digital skills, I already told you that in this world, in this era that we need to work on our digital skills. That starts already from your own field, and then from the field that you want to collaborate with. You need to learn the digital skills. The second, this all will help in creating jobs, because in US, if you're an engineer, or if you're, for example, I can tell you about myself. If I'm a biologist and I want to work as a biologist and I don't have any other experience of working in any other field, the chances of getting a job is very low because of the interdisciplinary nature of the job market here. So what is happening is that here they always ask for interdisciplinary approach, for interdisciplinary experience. Yeah, and we will also talk about this. Being an engineer or being from another field, how can you get this interdisciplinary experience? How can, if you are not able to study it, but how can you get it? So we will talk about that in detail. And all of them will help in economic growth, which is 80% of it. So it is, the more you invest, the more you get ahead of other countries who are not investing enough in their STEM. So there was a research, and what they have seen is that in last 10 years, what they saw is that the STEM-related jobs, so STEM employment, as you can see in this yellow, it got doubled 10 times. So from so almost 8 to 17%. So it's 9%, right? It's really a lot. And the education is not really going in that direction. So the STEM is, one has to invest in STEM to be able to fill these jobs. And most of these STEM jobs are not fulfilled because of this reason. And if you can see for the non-STEM jobs and employment, the economic growth is only almost three times, right? So that is what we need to keep in mind. So I think this was the first part. I wanted to talk about why do we need to invest. Okay, we are not in position of investment, but to have this mindset of STEM and what exactly it is. It's not a subject. It's not one field that we are studying, but it is the way of thinking. It is the interdisciplinary approach to solve a problem. I will shortly switch to for C, and if you have any question till here, then you can ask me. کنسپت استم براتون واضح شد انجینیر صاحبان؟ میشه که مایکتون رو روشن کنین من بشنوم آوازتون. الو.
سلام خدمت شما، خدمت انجینیر صاحب که در گروه هست. تشکر بسیار زیاد خوب وضاحت کامل دادین. موضوع بسیار کلیر شد برام.
تشکر. و به انگلیسی it's fine، یعنی براتون قابل فهمیدن است، نه؟
Yes, because به خاطر از اینکه انگلیسی حال زبان از علوم شده باید همگی باید
تشکر.
انگلیسی داشته باشه.
تشکر. یعنی هر وقت کدام چیز باشه که ما I can also explain it in Dari, but I have not studied in Dari, so that's a bit of a problem. اما این باعث نشه که من نتونم برای شما یک وبینار بکنم. از خاطر
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
okay. Because right now everyone has to know English.
Yes, definitely. Because if we want to progress and if we want to do disciplinary work, and if we need to learn new skills, we need to know this. But it's a skill.
Of course, yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Another part بعدیش هم میبینیم که چی است. Can you see my screen? Just a second. Okay, so our next part is this was what is STEM, why do we need it, how it plays a role under crisis, and why it's important for women and for economic growth. Now we would like to know what are different ways to get into STEM in international universities. I think most of you, what I have seen from your form, you have been graduated. Only a couple of you are students, but most of you have been are graduated. So it means that you are in the perfect position to enter the next step. And what can we do is, for example, in US, in the United States of America, getting into STEM is relatively flexible, I would say. What they do basically in US is that they do a bachelor's, for example, in electrical engineering or in whatever subject that they choose, right? Or biology or mathematics or technology, so whatever. And then what they do is they get some research experience. It can be done either in a university or in industry. That's also really important. If you work in industry and it is research oriented and you're using skills from other field, you're already getting into STEM, and that can help you to go for a master's. But that's very important to know that a master's in USA, you need GRE, which is graduate record examination. You need either IELTS or TOEFL, so English language testing system. But you also need GRE, which can be also a bit technical for some of the people who are going from Afghanistan. So that's something that you need to keep in mind in case you want to plan for that. We will go in detail of these international university systems and how to get scholarships and go to how to apply, what to write, how to do the CV and everything in next webinars. It is just an overview. For example, in UK, in United Kingdom, it's the master is, if you have a 4 years bachelor's, most of the people go for 1 year master's, which is a third course, so it's more exam based. And there you don't need a GRE, you just need IELTS, and that's it. After that 1 year, you are able to go to industry. Depending on what you use that master's for your specialization. That is really important because you want to, your bachelor is like a general field that you have studied, right? But then you do a master's, which will make you more specialized or direct you more towards the field you want to go. And it doesn't have to be related to your previous field. For example, if you have studied chemistry, you can go to petroleum engineering. Yeah. If you have studied physics, you can go to medical technology, something like that. So you don't have to, but you need to be able to justify why you're doing this change. Yeah. In Germany, where I am based, the STEM is very applied. Germany is very high with STEM. So everything that we are doing, it's part of the work that we are doing, that we need to apply STEM. As I already told you, I'm a biologist. I have done my master's in molecular genetics, in PhD in biochemistry, but I worked in medical physics. So I worked with lasers, I worked with different type of technology to be able to do diagnosis of cancers. So it is very much multidisciplinary. And in Germany, I can always recommend you, and I'm more confident in helping you or in guiding you for admissions in Germany, because I'm here and I know the system much better, is that they don't need any GRE, they need IELTS definitely, and it's not a very high band, it's 6.5. And education in Germany is free, or it's, I don't know, it's 300 or 400 euros per semester, per 6 months. And sometimes if you are good, and especially from Afghanistan, there are a lot of scholarships that you can apply for. And if you come for a PhD, and if you have a master's and you come for a PhD, you can be paid to study here. That is what so I have been in recruitment committees, and there, whenever we have people from Iran and from India, they come here for PhD and they get paid. So I really would love to introduce these pathways to my fellow Afghans who have the full capacity and who should also use these different pathways to be able to continue and get into the STEM. Okay, so for Canada and Australia, you can come through, so you need to have industry experience, and you get the route is through migration. So if you have industry experience, they need a lot of workforce in Canada and Australia. They have a system of points. I don't know if you know about it. And once you get into there, then you can go to universities, and then there's a specific procedure for their admissions. We will talk about admissions and scholarship for each of these different countries in detail in coming webinars, but this was just an overview that how are the different pathways. I think the best one for Afghans would be either to the UK or to Germany, because both of them are easy to access, and they have really high chances of being, you have high chances of being accepted here because they need people. Okay, so what I tried to do here is to STEM pathways for engineers, because I am dealing with my fellow engineers, so I would like to introduce you to that. So for example, if you have a master, if you have a bachelor's in whatever subject you have, whatever engineering subject, then you can either go to industry. I think some of you have already been working, or you do a master's. Once you have some experience, that's what I always recommend. It's always good to have some experience, then go for a master's. And after a master's, you can either go for higher managerial positions or a PhD. So PhD is not really required in STEM, unless you want to be in academia and you want to become a professor or do research. You can, with a master's, you can really get high advanced roles, advanced managerial roles, and the pathway is flexible. You can see that you don't have to go a certain pathways to be able to get something. So for example, for civil engineers, I think most of you are civil engineers, right? Yes? So for civil engineers, for example, you are using GIS, right? I'm sure that some of you would have been using GIS. So you are using technology for urban planning and disaster response, right? If you're a civil engineer and you're combining it with environmental sciences, so it would mean you are combining it with water treatment, with water management and climate. So you work towards climate resilience. So I wanted to give you some specific examples of how, as an engineer, you can use a STEM. For example, you use data, right? So if you are using data about so you can go towards traffic, it is traffic modeling, sensing, and smart cities. So smart cities, nowadays, it's the new fancy word, but most of the new constructions, I don't have to talk more about this because you guys are expert in it, that they use data basically, right? So all this is already telling you are in STEM. It's just that we need to explore that more. So for some of us who are electrical engineers, you can use embedded systems, so it will go towards devices. You can use AI and data, which will help in signal processing, predictive maintenance, and electrical and biomedical, where, for example, diagnostic tools. So you go to doctor and get some tests, and the tests are being run on a machine. So it is done with an electrical engineer and person who has biomedical experience, right? And some examples for mechanical engineering bridges, for example, if mechanical engineers with energy field, what happens is that they work towards renewable resources and energy efficiency. The same goes for advanced manufacturing. If you have materials, there are different types of materials, biodegradable materials, carbon fibers, all different types. So then they go towards advanced manufacturing. And mechanical and biotech, so it is lab automation and medical devices. That also goes towards innovation in the field of health, where I am. So in international universities, people really, they don't stay in one box. You actually, if you stay in one box, you will not be able to grow. You can become a technician because technicians have very specific tasks to do, and they do their task and that's it. But if you want to go up the ladder, you are not able to do it if you are not going out of the box, if you are not doing collaboration, if you are not trying to integrate different STEM fields into your research. So that is really, really important that you know what you're dealing with. I wanted to talk a bit about Germany and the focus of Germany focus in STEM pathways. So what happens is that if someone has a bachelor, it doesn't matter what is the subject, right? it should be within the sciences, of course. It has a bachelor's. Then the person can do a master, and that master can be in anything they want to specialize. So I had students who studied chemistry, for example, and they came to Germany for a master's in polymer sciences. And when I was teaching them, they had really not the same background, right? So what does it mean is that in Germany, they are very open to give you admission in different fields, even if it doesn't fit your subject. Yeah. The only requirement they have is you need to have a good IELTS score. If the language is English, and if the language of that university and that course you're studying, that would be in German, then you need test off. And both of them is very much attainable. It's not something that is not possible, because everyone from our neighboring countries, they are doing it. So definitely we can also do it, right? And if you have a master's from Germany, the job market here is very, 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 very acceptable. So they will really absorb you. You would be able to get a job in the field you want because you have a master's from Germany. And that will help you not just in your career, but also in developing further. You can, after your industry experience, you can come back and do a PhD, because there is no age limit to that. So what I'm trying to say is that for those of you who are interested, please do consider these pathways for yourself. Okay, these are some other examples of how biochemical engineering, civil engineering to environmental, this is very much in need because of the green technologies. Civil engineers are needed in environmental systems. So that is something that is where you can really work if you want. I will skip these ones because we already talked about them. Yeah, so based on what we have heard till now and what we talked about, there are flexible systems, there are structured systems, and early specialization. What do you think? Which one fits better your circumstances? You can turn on your mic and you can talk if you want. If you don't talk, I feel I'm talking to myself because I also don't see anyone. باید انجینیر صاحب یکی شما باید مایکتون رو باز کنین و صحبت کنین. اگر نه من احساس میکنم با خود صحبت میکنم، به خاطر که همتون ویدیویتون هم نیست و مرا دارین؟ آواز مرا دارین؟
بله دکتر صاحب، صدا شما هست و همچنان دوستایی که اشتراک کردن شما میتونین مایکتون رو باز کنین و نظرات خدا بگین.
Okay, we go forward. It's fine. So, say these are three different types that if you want to go to US or to Germany or to UK, early specialization here. So that's how you would be able to choose. And we will talk more about in different webinars how to get there. And engineers, I think that you are trained to decompose a problem, you model a system, you optimize the process and work across constraints. So all these specific skills that I talked about, these are the skills that is transferable in all STEM fields. So you would be able to use your skills that you already have as an engineer in every other field of STEM that you want to work. And so it's not a fixed pathway. A career is a system in which it has an input change, constraint evolve, and optimization is continuous. So a strong engineer redesigns systems, including their own career. In case in Afghanistan, for example, under current situation, doing a master's would not be possible, or you can always do small projects, you can always learn new skills, you can always do online courses to be able to evolve and redesign your skill set. So that is really important for all of us. And how can we choose? For example, you are interested you're an engineer and you're interested in working with environment. So what you're interested in, that is how you would be able to choose for yourself. Yeah. And there is no single correct pathway. The change is normal. You can always choose, you can always change, and that is perfectly fine. In international, if you come to an international university and you check a CV, you will see that none of them have a straight path to what they are doing. It's like a very zigzag path, yeah? That's what I want to say, that in Afghanistan, we think if we have one bachelor in engineering, I always have to indulge. You can always evolve and you can always grow better and become more of what you have. So, yes, if you are interested in health systems, energy systems, environmental systems, and information systems, your next step in STEM will be answered to one of these questions. Whatever is your interest within your field, you would be able to help and choose a better STEM for yourself. And now I would like to ask you another question. What is your next step? What do you want to know? Do you want to read more about STEM? Do you want to take an online course and go in more depth, because we just talk around 1 hour? You want to have mentorship from someone and then, or attend the next webinar to know what is more on this field. I know most of you will not talk anyways, but these are the paths, or these are the options that you have, and I hope you will choose one of them so you can do good for your own career. So my take-home message for engineers is that a strong engineer is someone who is not someone who never changes direction. Like a system, it has to be adaptable, right? And that's how also we as humans and we as scientists, we as STEM professionals, we should be able to adapt and do multi-disciplinary work and learn new skills. That is something that is the core of everything that we are doing, to learn new skills in different fields. And the future trend in STEM is AI. I think all of you know data sciences and green technologies, because most of the people and most of the economies are going towards sustainability. So green technologies are something that is very much in demand. Biotechnology and personalized health, that is also something that is going in the direction that if someone has a specific disease, then its genetic will be checked and diagnosed, and one specific medicine for that person will be used, or treatment person would be used. And yeah, cybersecurity, ethics, and interdisciplinary STEAM. So STEAM is something that is different than STEM, and we can talk about it also later. These are different references that I used during my presentation. If you're interested, then I can also send it to you guys. I would like to acknowledge and thank Engineer Mohammad Siddiq, the founder of Afghanistan Engineering Council, who gave us this platform that we all can gather and talk about all this. I also would like to thank Engineer Nargis and Engineer Murtaza for coordinating this webinar, and Engineer Shakilov for presenting this program. With this, I would like to thank you, and if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Sorry, as you explained the webinar, it's
Yeah.
almost about the electronic field. There's nothing about constructions like construction management or any or something like this, because most of people are interested for construction management and for example me or on any other people are interested for architecture engineering, because they are not related to for civil engineering. They are not related to the webinar is not related to for architecture engineers, for civil engineers, for road engineers. They are almost about electronic. Most of the part of webinar is belong to electronic, as I think. That's what I requested for your next webinar will be something about construction management, architecture engineering, for something like this.
خب انجینیر صاحب حمیدالله بسیار تشکر از این سوالی که کردین. شما گفتین که زیادترش باره الکتریکال انجینیرینگ بود. من فکر میکنم که من برای تمام انجینیرینگ فیلد های مهندسی یا انجینیرینگ مثال داده بودم، اما این وبینار باره یکی از شقها هیچ نبود. It is not about a specific field, it's about the concept. این باره ازی است که من امیرم میخوایم که برای شما ارائه کنم که ما باید این فکر نکنیم که من سیویل انجینیر هستم، ما باید صرف به سیویل انجینیر باشم، نه مهندس، من صرف اینی منیجمنت یاد بگیرم. That is what I think there were a couple of slides به جایی که من بر شما نشان دادم که ما سیویل انجینیر ها مثلا با GIS که کار میکنن. What happens? It's not about I'm not an engineer, so I cannot teach you what to do and how to do, right? I want to change the concept of STEM که interdisciplinary به چی حالت است و ایره که ما بگوییم که ما میخوایم صرف باره سیویل انجینیرینگ یاد بگیرم. So it means که وبینار زیاد کار نکرد. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, but when a person wants to decide to study for civil engineers, maybe his decision would be to get a find like a PhD in civil engineering. But if you want to change the concept for them, it will be another way, because when you want to change your master degree for another field, so you have to have a past education experience about the new field that you want to select for your next studies. Like you want to study in cyber security. As I'm a civil engineer, I just have concept about networking. So how can I be able to start my master degree in cyber security? So it's most different, because I doesn't have past experience education about networking or IT. That's why I asked it like this.
Yes. So I did not, my webinar was not about that you go from this field to another field. My webinar was how to use interdisciplinary approaches, right? For example, data. If you are in your field, you can always learn new skills. Internet is full of new skills, and in international standards, every online course that you're doing, every project-based, research-based project that you're doing, it is being counted. And if you're a civil engineer, if you don't want to change, it's perfect. But STEM is something that will make you go up in the ladder. I don't want you to change your field. And this webinar was about interdisciplinary learning. So it is not about what you do specific in that field. Is there any other question?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the webinar is only for that you should can be able to join for short courses for your next stage or for your next presentations, for something like this, that we should improve our studies more than that.
Yes. Actually, the topic of webinar topic هایش هم پیش از پیش با انجینیر نرگس و انجینیر مرتضی شیر کردیم و اونا براتون قبلا میگن که این وبینار باره چی است و شما چی چیزا را متوجه میشین در این وبینار. So you will already have we have 6 months plan already or 1 year plan I already have. I know next month what I will be doing the webinar about. So it's good that you know maybe some of the webinars are not for you or you don't want about it, right? Then you don't have to come. I'm just saying that the webinars are designed in a way that you get information about new fields, about international standards, about how to get into a university, things like that. Okay, do we have another person who can also contribute here? Thank you, Engineer Hamidullah. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for so much. This was my first time that I joined with you and enjoy your webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being vocal, because otherwise no one is talking. That's also very great. Okay, who else is there?
سلام روزتون بخیر. میتونم سوال بپرسم؟
بفرمایید.
من خودم در کشور نروژ هستم.
بفرمایید. انجینیر صاحب زبیر.
صدای من میگیرین؟
اسمتون میشه بگین؟ انجینیر صاحب زبیر، right? یا فیاض؟
سفر هستم. اسم سفر است؟ بله، اسم سفر است. خب، تشکر از سمینار پروگرامتان، بسیار فایده‌مند شد. تشکر. من میخواستم یک سوال از شما بپرسم. آیا ما میتوانیم در پهلوی وظیفه خود هر کانسون فرق نمیکنه آنلاین ماستر دیگری بگیریم؟
Yes please. باید. اگر وقتش دارین، اگر ریسورسش دارین، بسیار خوب است که آنلاین یک ماستر دیگری بگیرین و هر فیلدی که میخواین، به خاطری که این شما را کمک میکنه که به فیلدهای بعدی بتونین برین.
کدام کشور و یا کدام پانتون شما بر ما مثال میتین؟ ما جستجوش دارم، اما تا فعلا یک معلومات دقیق نگرفتم، پیدا نکردم.
انجینیر سفر، اگر شما بر ما نشون کنین که فیلدتان چی است، ما وبینارهای بعدی به این موضوع است که ما میتونیم که به معرفی بگیریم هر فیلد مختلف کشورها را، چطور میتونین بیاین کل چیزا را، باز ما بتونم دیتیل‌تر براتون بگویم. یعنی اگر به فیلد خودم پرسان کنین، ما براتون میتونم بگویم، یا فیزیک یا این چیزا، اما خوبتر است که شما برای من بنویسین و ما باز براتون مور اسپسیفیک به وبینار بعدی بتونم جواب بدم.
باید همراه شما با ارتباط بگیریم دکتر صاحب؟
بله، ما به می گروپ چی هستم؟ گروپ انجینیرهای افغانستان. شما هستید؟
بله، من هستم اونجا.
و مو نمره تلفن ما هست، اونا میتونین که برام مسیج کنین.
درست است. تشکر میکنم.
خواهش میکنم.
ببخشید، نمی واتساپ تان یا برای ما راوند کنین یا ما را در گروپ واتساپ تان اگرد کنین؟
به گروپ واتساپ فکر
مسیج راوند کنین. بله. واتساپ راوند نکنین، در این مسنجر ایجا راوند کنین. مسیج بر شما.
مسیج راوند کنین.
من نو هستم، هیچ معلومات قبلی از این ندارم.
مصباح نامتون؟ اسمتون چی است؟
حمیدالله.
حمیدالله. اوکی. شما به گروپ هستین؟ به گروپ میشه که من
گروپ نیستیم.
من نمره خود اینجا نشون با شما میتونین که از اینجا بگیرینش. اوکی؟
نشون.
و من صرف وقتای کاری می باشم میتونم که همراهتان به تماس باشم، به خاطر که دیگه وقتا گل می باشم. اوکی، دیگه سوال دارم. How about mechanical engineering and its sub-departments? انجینیر صاحب زبیر. یکی از چیزای مکانیکال انجینیرینگ، من نمی‌فهمم که شما فیلدتون اسپشیالایزیشن کردین یا نه. بایومدیکال انجینیرینگ بسیار یک شاخص که اگر به دنیای خارج به کسی با او کار کنه it's like gold. بسیار زیاد چی زیاد دارد، تقاضای زیاد دارد. How can we model complex real world systems accurately when small uncertainty in data can lead to vastly different? Okay, engineer said this, but this is a very technical question, and I think as an engineer, you should be able to answer this correctly. I was talking about STEM, and if you use different intercultural and interdisciplinary approaches and use the risk assessment, you would be able to reduce the risks here at least. اوکی دیگه سوال؟ خب بسیار زیاد تشکر. من فکر میکنم دیگه سوال نیست. من بسیار خوشحال بودم که شما اینجا تا آخر بودین و انجینیر صاحب مرتضی یا انجینیر صاحب نرگس یا انجینیر صاحب شکیلا شاید بر شما یک فرم روان کنن که ما بتونیم بفهمیم که چیزایی را که شما آموختین یا چی میخواین او را باره صحبت کرده بتونه. بسیار زیاد وقت خوش داشته باشین. بسیار تشکر از اینکه آمدین و صحبت کردین بعضتان. I hope که it was و با امید از این که به وبینارهای بعدی ببینیم. وبینار بعدی را براتون اعلان میشه. پیش از پیش باید میفهمیم که موضوع است چی است و شما توقعاتتان چی است، ما چی به باره چی صحبت میکنیم. وقت خوش داشته باشین و خداحافظتان.